Now with our base mesh kind of established, there's no real reason for us to stay in Dynamesh. So I'm going to turn Dynamesh off. And now I'm going to get in and start to sculpt. So we want to look at a couple of the tools that we can use to get in there and start to sculpt the form to the level at which we did the face. But for the body, I'm going to start by taking the simplified forms that we have now, okay, all of these really simple shapes that we've established, and we're going to go one level up and just start to add a little bit more detail, but without adding too much. I want to be as craftsman-like as I can about the process. So the first step is establishing our bony landmarks. You really need to establish bony landmarks before you go too much further. And we can do that by just using, say, clay buildup, or you can say the standard brush. Anything that's going to allow you to carve in. You can also use poly painting, which I'm going to show you here in just a moment. But I want all options on the table. Okay, pubic bone. Sacrum, spine, scapula. This is going to be a little tough with the scapula because it doesn't really have the volume it needs. So it might be better that we do that with poly painting. But one step at a time, I think we can make do. So I'm pulling in the clavicle, chromium process, pulling out along the spine of the scapula. It's just an important landmark. Medial border of the scapula, C7. C7 on him is probably right here. Tilt forward. The anterior superior iliac spine. We're going to make it a protrusion on him because he's going to be really thin. And how wide is that? What's the distance across? We're going to take a look at that in a moment. Knee, line of the tibia. Take the line of the tibia all the way into the back. And we should be good with those notes. Make sure you got the elbow. Stylate process of the ulna. And I think I'm in fine shape. Ankle, fibula. Alright, so let's make sure we're aware of what we're doing here. Clavicle. Okay, the arch of the ribs. I'm going to verify that. I think it might be a little low. Iliac crest for short. Patella to help me know where the knee is. Okay, we've got the elbow in the back. And then we also have the spine of the scapula in the back. We also have C7. And then line of the tibia. Those are my bony landmarks, and they're what every sculptor needs when they're getting in and trying to figure out what's going on with the body. You might want to throw the sternum in there, just to be clear. And let's talk measurements. So we got bony landmarks. Next step, measurements. So for measurements, I'm going to go into transpose units, and I'm going to start working with the calibration distance. First thing I need to do is come in and zoom into the face. Click, drag out an action line, and make sure that that action line is roughly one head. Doesn't matter, you know, where it is, if it's 1.6 or 1.8, doesn't matter. You just want it to be the total height of that head. Okay, I'm comfortable with that. And now I can go in to Preference, Transpose Unit, and I'm going to set Calibration Distance to 1. There we go. One of my keys was giving me trouble. There we go. Set it to 1. And now I'm going to come into the clavicle, drag all the way off, and then drag back in. So I dragged off, selected the outer ring, dragged it back in, till it says about 0.75, and where I'm looking is right up in the top corner. You see where it says 0.75 units? That's where we really want the acromion process to be. We want the clavicle to be coming out, the acromion process, and go from there. So we were off in our original measurements of all of this stuff, which is fine because it gives us a lot to do and a lot to learn. So draw. I'm going to look at it from the back, go into the Move brush, and I'm just pulling straight out. Now next time I go into Move, that action line will still be there, which is kind of cool. So let's look at it from a top view. Yeah, we're getting close. So I'm going to move that out and start to spread that out. I'm looking at it from a top view, really important. You want to make sure that the clavicle has room to exist, acromion process has room, and then the spine of the scapula has room to do its bidding. So you need to make sure that there's room. Okay, we're in fine shape. Where we're not in fine shape now is in the arm. So now the head of the humerus should be right underneath the acromion process, and so that's not happening. Or it could be happening, but it's a little not. So not a problem. These are the things that we love to run into. So I'm going to move this off to the side. And to do that, I need to separate the arm from the torso. I need to just treat them separately for a moment. So I'm going to go into Move. I'm going to press Control and click and drag to the arm. Just like that. And then drag out an action line, select the center dot, and just move it out. Just a little bit. I think it needs just a little bit. Okay, draw mode, Control, click and drag to clear it, and then you have some smoothing to do. Only problem is our polygon count's quite high, so you might have to switch to Trim Dynamic to really actually start to smooth that, or to cut things up and start to establish more of a planar quality. Okay, that's looking, it's got a little bit better shoulders there. But we might have problems like that in other places. I'm going to go into Move and measure from one acromion process, anterior superior iliac spine to the other. And notice the measurement, 0.79. Really want that to be 1. Definitely want that to be 1. So for that, I'm going to drag one of these guys out, drag it back, out, drag it back. Okay. So it says 1 up here. That's good for me. So now into Draw, Move brush, and pull these out. Or come over to Move and select the Move topological brush. So where did that go? Right there. And Move topological means that it won't affect the arms as you pull that out. Okay, switch into Move. That's better. There we go. And I feel better about it. Also means that my rib cage is really only one head wide, which brings up the question of moving the arms out a little bit, but I think not. I think I'll manage. I want kind of a shallow rib cage. I don't want a deep one. So we have at this point adjusted for measurements. So we have measurements, and we have bony landmarks. That's great. That sets us up really well for the next phase, where we're going to go in and start to establish the form of the torso.